We were pretty famous back in high school. Trust us!
Had a whole future ahead of us, but now we suck.
All that potential now is flowing in the aqueducts.
Through the sands of time, many did forget.
But now our time has come to resurrect. But a podcast?
Sad I know, but can you blame us?
We are desperate to be much more than high school famous.
Let's do that again.
All right. Shortest episode in history.
That was, yeah.
Matt, would you like to hear the intro this week?
It's,
you can say no.
well, yeah, you know what? Sure.
Hello and welcome to High School Famous. This podcast has lost its butter, y'all. And it's real nervous about how this is all going to churn out.
Did you say churn?
I did. I am Sean.
I'm Matt.
I don't hear you anymore.
I said I'm Matt. I said it really
I didn't
quietly
hear that.
because I was upset.
Well, I thought it was,
A churn pun.
a little punny. Would you say maybe dad jokey in a way?
No, but I'm assuming that is a segue into some dad jokes.
Bumps in my mic.
I saw.
Yes, Matt. I received for Christmas this year from my son a daily 2023 dad joke calendar.
Mm-hmm.
We read on last episode the one that was for December 31st / January 1st, and I realized why it says both days. It wasn't because it was New Year's. It was just because that was the weekend.
Right.
And so we now have this, the 7th and the 8th is in one.
Oh, because they always do the weekends on one day or whatever. On
Yeah,
one
so
sheet.
we're not going to... Yeah, so we're kind of getting cheated out of one
Even though,
joke
which is weird
a week.
because like a daily calendar usually gives you like room to like make notes and stuff, right?
Yes.
So usually you'd think, oh, I'm probably going to make the most notes on a weekend when I might have more time to do more things. So therefore I'd have more things to write down, but yet I have half the space because I have to split it up between 2 different days.
You'd think that, that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
But here we are, not in that
thinking too much about daily calendars. Anyways, so you're gonna throw some jokes at us to get us caught up with everything.
Well, I've got some. Apparently, there's a missing one.
Oh no.
The one for January 2nd doesn't appear to be here anymore. And
well, if it turns up,
yes. So
we'll do it next week if you find it.
Yeah, and the third, I got to tell you before I even do this, I'm highly let down so far by this calendar.
Oof.
Anyway,
You're about to skip ahead.
The third I only have because I took a picture of it.
Oh,
that one's also missing from here. It
was good enough to take a photo of.
No, it was more that I did it so that I could
discard it.
I could tell it to my son later, so I didn't have to worry about it before I left for work. Because it's not at my work desk, it's at my home desk. So, barring January 2nd, we will go on to January 3rd, which is, as a lawyer, the number of wrongful convictions shouldn't surprise me. After all, it's just trial and error. Cue the turkey gobble.
Fuck you.
I was going to say cue the, what's that called, a rim shot?
Too late. Turkey.
Would you rather?
Is it trial and error? That it makes no
for the purpose of this joke, yes.
But it makes no sense.
Well, you could look at it in the way.
Oh, it's wrongful because you said wrongful convictions.
Right. As a lawyer, the number of wrongful convicks shouldn't surprise me.
I missed that part for some reason. So that now it makes sense. Okay. Trial
and they do say, anyone who's like a lawyer says that they practice law just like you practice medicine as a doctor. So it's like, yeah, you're trying it out. You're figuring it out. You might be wrong sometimes. You might screw up sometimes. Yeah. There's just very, very high stakes. But you know what? They're only human. Yes. And unfortunately with the legal system, if a mistake is made not in your favor as like a defendant, it seems nearly impossible to correct said mistake.
It's high probability of it not getting turned around. But if it does get turned around, it still takes many years. So yeah, if you're wrongfully convicted, you're you're like, say you have a 20-year sentence, you're probably still doing at least half that sentence before they figure out what's wrong and you get out.
Yeah. And that's great,
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. You can't get that time back. But who needs it? Who needs 10 years? Who needs all that life?
Right.
I mean, they still got to live.
Right.
They got free room and board.
Right.
Right? It's like, to me,
3 square meals a day.
Yeah, to me, it's like there are some benefits
to
prison.
Especially if you're just like, I don't know, a really like lonely person. Like if you got nothing else in the world besides yourself.
You might go ahead and get yourself, you might go out and commit a crime just to get thrown in jail or thrown in prison, I mean. Do you think anyone's resorted to that?
I hope not. I think there's probably cases of people who like spent a lot of time in jail and then they got out and realized like the outside world just doesn't really work for them. So then they kind of commit a crime to go back to jail. And
what do you call it? There's a term for being in prison. Back in? I don't know. In the what? Maybe I'm making this up.
You might be.
I might be. Maybe I need to create the term for what it means to be in prison.
I think that's already it.
That's it? Just, I'm in prison? Yeah. I'm back in prison. Oh, I know exactly what you mean. All right. January 4th. What did the snowman say to the snow woman he was trying to woo?
I don't know. All I can think of is dirty answers, and I don't think it's going to be a dirty answer.
It's not a dirty answer. It's very clean. I only have ice for you.
Instead of eyes.
Mm-hmm. But, I mean, even though the snowman has eyes also.
Right.
Granted, they're not functioning eyes.
These aren't even good as far as dad jokes are concerned. These are like jokes you find in a Laffy Taffy or on a popsicle stick.
I think these are, like Laffy Taffy caliber jokes. There was one, I forget which day it is, but there was like, okay. So we'll get to that one. And I'm like,
unless it was for the second and we lost it. I
don't think it was. It was not that soon. Maybe
they're building up. They're going to get better throughout the year.
January 5th to me so far is the highlight of the calendar.
Okay. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's not the highlight of the calendar.
It's not the highlight. Hopefully it doesn't peak here on January 5th.
Yeah.
When I was in quarantine, it was hard to be funny. I could only make inside jokes.
That's as good as it gets.
Compared to the other jokes, you have to admit.
I mean, I don't know. Even compared to the other jokes, I still hate it.
It's not a strong representative for joke kind.
Right.
But if you have to compare it to the jokes that have been presented so far,
right,
this one's a standout to me.
Okay.
January 6th, Friday. Dad, my friend Jordan wears snow pants at recess. Wow. Why don't the teachers tell her to put pants on?
Matt
is...
I'm so upset by this.
His body is contorting in frustration.
Yeah. All right. Get the last one out of the way.
For those that don't understand this one, you have to sort of combine the end of wears and the beginning of snow to make it sound like they're saying that Jordan wears no pants at recess.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I'm pretty sure everybody got it.
I didn't hear laughter. That's why I thought, well, maybe I need to explain it to them, and then they'll get it and then laugh.
Okay.
So it's one of those scenarios where you think, describing it and explaining it further is going to make it better. January 7th/8th. Question: what is a lumberjack's favorite style of beer?
I don't know.
Well, that would, of course, be a lager. A cold lager. A nice cold lager, freshly tapped.
Because they're cutting down trees up in the mountains where it's a little colder.
There is a little tag at the end, which is just sort of a comment on the joke. Wait a minute. This doesn't even go with it. This is a joke about logs and lumberjacks and whatnot. This little thing at the bottom says, that snow pun was great. I see what you did there. This should have been at the end of the snow pants joke.
Wow.
Or the snowman
joke.
I only have ice for you. Why do they put this at the end of the lumberjack joke?
Your calendar is very flawed.
Yeah, it's funny.
I'm starting to think Leo made it.
He might have. Although it's very professional looking, for him. So I don't know. That's a lot of perfectly cut squares of paper
Right.
And this cardboard little stand at the back.
Right.
I think this is beyond his capabilities as far as, production design and
He could
whatnot.
have outsourced.
But he could have done that and just created the jokes.
Right.
It's funny because he got it for me and he was excited for me to get it. But now he does not look forward to me telling him the daily joke. He's
quickly
over
backfired on him.
He is over it.
It's because he even knows how awful they are.
He does. He could tell. He's got that keen ear for it. So I guess good. If he was thinking these jokes were amazing, I would be a little bit worried.
Right.
But yeah. So watch out, listeners. You've got this to look forward to for the entire year, unless it is so awful we decide to abandon it partway through. Which
it might get to the point where you just need to pick out what's the best joke from the previous week. Because if they're all going to be that awful, I can't. Like, I'm not even worried about the listeners. I can't subject myself to that.
Humor is subjective, though. I mean, there could be plenty that thought that all of those jokes were bangers, as they say.
True.
Bangers.
True.
It's a banger. I wish I could remember the other one, the January 2nd. I mean, it wasn't as good as I Could Only Make Inside Jokes. I'll tell you that.
I mean, if it wasn't as good as that amazing joke, then I'm not worried about it.
I know, but I feel like I'm cheating everyone out of, I promised a week's worth, and then we're cut short.
Like I said, if it turns up, we'll bring it next week.
We're already cut short a day because the Saturday-Sunday combo.
Yep.
And now the misplacement of the first joke of the new week. I mean, come on, me.
I mean, it's
hold on, I might have found it.
Oh God, I'm so sorry, everybody. He may have found it.
We've got it.
Oh, awesome!
They were set on the dresser on the other side of the TV. Oh, yes, now I remember. Now I remember this one
already.
Yep.
So
January
not ready
2nd.
for this.
January 2nd. The ski trip started off great. But it was all downhill from there. How'd you know it?
Should I grab my book so I can throw out like a better joke?
No. Don't take this away from me.
Oh, sorry.
We want, when you like have to watch or listen to something that you normally wouldn't, it starts to sort of warm. You start to warm up to it. Like you can
like your entire YouTube channel. You have to listen to and watch things that you typically wouldn't.
Are you talking about me?
Yeah, your YouTube channel.
Okay. All right. I'll accept that. Yes. I didn't know what you meant by that at first.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying that. I thought what you were saying was anybody that watches my YouTube channel.
No. There's plenty of people, obviously, because people are suggesting that you watch stuff and then want to see your reactions to it. No, I mean you personally on your YouTube channel having to listen to things that you're just like, how do I say this politely? How do I say this without alienating my viewers?
It's what this has done is sort of reinforced the thought that I've always been like, am I just like not like everyone, like most people? Like, are my tastes not in line with like the general public? Because some of the stuff where I'm like, yeah, this was, whatever. Some people are just like in love with this thing. And I'm just like, I don't get it. Like,
it's, it's all just taste. It's what you're into, there's like some people like, I don't know. I feel like I have a very, very wide berth when it comes to the types of music I like.
A wide what?
Wide berth. Yeah. I was a wide berth. Anyways, I have a very large selection of different musical genres and different types of music that I listen to. Yours is a bit more narrowed than that.
Tread lightly, Matt. Choose your words carefully.
You were a premature narrow berth. So,
you're right. You know what? you could take the real life. There. Yeah, there is something there. You know what? Birth width compared to eclecticity of musical taste.
Yeah, is there
any correlation?
Is there correlation with that? But no, I mean,
That's the next wall count study right there.
Let's not go there. I just recently was in that episode.
Trust me, I'm not going there to go there. I'm just saying.
Right.
It's similar.
But if you did go there, you'd get a great education. Anyway.
No, that's a dad joke.
There you go.
Skiddly-doo. I told you not to one-up me.
I feel like you definitely have a narrower scope on what types of music you like than, say, somebody like me or somebody like Mark, where we just kind of Eric and Mikey and basically all of your friends.
Everyone else. That's the point. That's what I'm saying. Most other people are
I think maybe you're right. Shit.
I mean,
I just thought about that.
So many people love, like Parks and Rec, and like I've never seen an episode, and I don't really have any interest to see.
Yeah, I've never really watched it.
Everyone loves Raymond, Will and Grace, like all these shows that were just so massively popular. I'm like, I don't.
Well, everybody, I like how you said, everybody loves Raymond, which is the name of the show, but also along the lines of saying everybody loves it.
Everybody loves Raymond.
I don't know. I never really watched Everybody Loves Raymond. What was the other one you mentioned?
Will and Grace was one.
Yeah.
I don't think Dharma and Greg was as big as Will and Grace. It was just another like name and name show that was around the same time. So
yeah, like Sex and the City.
Yes. Neither of those are names. So it doesn't fall in line with what
They can be.
It's like that movie Kate and Leopold.
No idea what that is.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith,
Yeah.
The company Johnson & Johnson.
Wallace and Gromit.
Yes. The group, I can't remember the name of a certain group.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Ray LaMontagne and the Pariah Dogs. That's who it is. The Pariah Dogs.
Rocco DeLuca and the Burden.
Yes. That person and the Burden as well.
Yeah. All of the Burden. Mumford and Sons.
Mumford and Sons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sanford.
All of these.
And Sons.
Anyways,
of these we could do this all day.
All of these things massively popular. Not all of those are massively popular.
No. We just started getting to something rant.
We did. Peanut butter.
But no,
and
I get what you mean.
jelly.
Like I've been that way with a lot of more recent stuff as well. But that's part of that is that some of those shows at this point for me are such an undertaking that it's like an instant just like, I don't know if I can do this. Like never watched Game of Thrones, never watched Breaking Bad. All these shows that are people are just like, you haven't seen it, it's so amazing. I'm like, I'm sure
I know.
I'm sure I would like it, but I just can't at this point. I'm just like, I can't just do it. I just can't start it. Cause I can guarantee you if I watched the first episode, I'd be like, all right, cool, let's go. But to me, like looking at that and being like, oh, there's like 9 seasons of this to turn on, to get the gall to just turn, not gall, to get the courage, whatever, to turn on that first episode and be like, all right, let's do this. I don't know. I can't think of the word to use.
Motivation?
To build up the energy, motivation, sure. That, just anything to get to that point of like, let's start this first episode. Let's, it's taking that first step in a journey of just like, all right, I'm going to do it. It's just, it's hard.
Yeah, and for those shows that the two you listed, for example, Game of Thrones and Breaking Bad, I did watch some of that,
right?
But I did sleep through a lot of it,
right?
So
as you tend to do with things,
So the thought of trying to start over,
or figure out where you left off,
because you're gonna be sitting through stuff you've already seen just to catch stuff that you missed, and that's not to say it's not like I started off in season 1 and then halfway through I'm lost for this much time and then I picked it back up. So I know. So there's gonna be a lot of.
That's how I was with. I did that with Doctor Who, where I just kind of like stopped watching it because I was like, oh, I'll get back to this show, and then I was like 5-6 seasons later, I'm like, shit. Like now it's like a huge undertaking again. I did that. And then, The Walking Dead was the same way where I just kind of stopped watching it. And then all of a sudden, seasons upon seasons went by, and I'm just like, oh shit, now it's a huge undertaking again. And I don't know.
It's a lot.
And these last few weeks, I've been busy with other stuff.
Yes.
Other extracurriculars outside of work that have been occupying my time. So
it's a lot. Life is hard.
Mm-hmm.
We have it hard. We have it rough. It's tough for us. This is not going to be an episode where I watch a movie and then have a bunch of notes on it. But I will say, last night I rented and watched Clerks 3.
Okay. Yeah, I had recommended it to you, saying that I enjoyed it more than Clerks 2.
I probably, I mean, I guess you could say I did too.
Yeah.
I would maybe put them both kind of at the same level.
Interesting.
I'm not a fan of this Elias character. I don't enjoy him at all, and so his involvement in this episode this movie was I could have done without him for sure.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, the conversations between Dante and Randall in the first Clerks movie seemed like believable and natural.
Okay.
But in Clerks 2 and Clerks 3, like these opinions and things that Randall supposedly doesn't know anything about, like they just seem very forced, just to make it be the same as the movie before it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I almost feel like what's his name, Jeff Anderson. He's trying to like act them more, and it doesn't. He sounded way more natural and believable in the first movie.
I gotcha.
Even though he was not at all an actor.
Right.
One of the only people that was sort of into acting was the guy who plays Brian O'Halloran, the guy who plays Dante.
Right.
And I listen to a lot of the Kevin Smith podcasts, so I know a lot of the inside jokes and like stuff like that. Like I know who certain people are, and I don't know if that makes me enjoy it more, or if I would enjoy it more if I didn't know anything about those sort of backstories and whatnot. I don't know. It's hard to say because I only know one way of it.
Right.
Like, you know Mark Bernardin?
No.
He is now sort of the co-host on what was Fat Man on Batman, but now is called Fat Man Beyond. He was in, I want to say it was Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
Okay.
But they basically took any of his speaking stuff and all the stuff he had where he had lines kind of got cut. And so he's just sort of like sleeping in the background or something. And then he kind of wakes up and like lifts his head up. And so that was a running gag on the podcast where it's like, yeah, you put me in your movie, but you know, I don't have any lines, blah, 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 blah. So, So in this movie, when that high school student is coming to like report on
he was the dad.
He is the dad. And she's specifically, the mom is like, and if he like basically telling him he better not speak at all. So that's a whole inside joke. The fact that he's now in this movie and he has no lines. And
Gotcha.
It's pointed out that he's not going to talk, you know.
Yeah, I guess knowing that inside information makes that a little bit more entertaining, because otherwise I'm just like, all right, it's just some guy that's not allowed to speak.
Yeah.
For me, not knowing that information.
And I know that guy who was like Elias's partner, who was kind of like the Silent Bob for Elias, that is Kevin Smith's daughter's boyfriend that she lives with.
Oh, okay.
Like, I know that kind of stuff. So I just recognized him right away. And I'm like, okay, he's in the movie just because of that. He might not have been someone who auditioned for this part, but he's just, you know, someone
like,
who...
Yeah, Kevin's like, I'll put you in the movie, whatever.
Right. The cameos during the audition process. You were saying there were some fun people that popped in.
Yes.
Definitely was not expecting Freddie Prinze Jr. and Sarah Michelle Gellar, because I think maybe Sarah Michelle Gellar has worked with Kevin Smith in the past. And are they still married, like her and... I think maybe they're still married, so maybe that's why they're both there. There was some younger woman that was doing auditions, and I don't know who she is.
I think that, if I recall correctly, and I may be completely wrong, that might be the girl that plays Supergirl.
No, that's not her.
No? Okay.
That's someone else.
Then I'm not sure. It might be somebody that he's worked with on some of those WB shows that he's done
possibly
some directing for.
The younger guy is the guy who does the voice of He-Man in the Netflix He-Man show. So I reckon. Well, plus he did the He-Man voice during it. But Ben Affleck was good. I was expecting Quinn
Yeah.
or Q to be in there, but not the other three.
Yep. Those were a total surprise. When I saw Q, I'm like, oh, okay, cool, that makes sense. And then the other three showed up. I'm like, oh, neat. I wasn't expecting to see the other three. So clearly prior to Joe leaving the Impractical Jokers, I'm sure.
I don't know, because he did say, I'm 40, I'm middle-aged and recently divorced, so I thought I'd give this a go, or something like that is what he said.
Oh, like it's more true to who he, like he was playing himself.
Yeah, so.
Oh, so maybe.
And I don't remember when he filmed the movie.
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
It is just like, you do, if all you do is, well, not all I do, but if you listen to so many Kevin Smith podcasts and then you watch some of his movies, he really is just all about talking about himself and his own life.
Yeah.
Which I get, but it's different when you're in your 20s.
Made a career on it.
He did, but this literally was, I mean, Jay and Silent Bob reboot was making Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back again. And Clerks 3 was making Clerks 1 again.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, dude.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
The one, so there's one scene that I thought was done really in a really cool way, and it's towards the end when they're filming the scene where Dante's laying on the cooler and Randall's doing Salsa Shark or whatever, right?
Yeah.
The way they shot that scene I thought was really cool, because whenever Randall was doing, or Jeff was doing his lines, it was from the perspective of the original movie where it's shot in black and white and you see him. And then when Brian was delivering his lines, it was a shot over him in color again. So what I thought was really cool about that was, in that particular scene, Randall is acting and Dante is just speaking his truth at that moment. Right. So I thought that was kind of an interesting scene of like how, Dante is no longer acting in this scene right now, but Randall's still acting in the scene.
I picked up on the fact that Brian or Dante, I guess in this version, Brian O'Halloran doesn't play Dante Hicks. Dante Hicks plays Dante Hicks.
Right.
But I did pick up that he was not reading from the script and he was just speaking his true feelings. I didn't notice the switch. Yeah.
There's the cinematic choice in that too that I thought was interesting.
But what was so unbelievable to me was when Randall shows Dante the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they look so much younger on film.
So what was, to me, what that was, is he was saying, so he said to him before he showed him all that stuff, he said, "This is how I see you." And then he's showing him all the filming, and it's all the filming from the original movie. So he's always seen him as this younger version of Dante. That version of Dante from back in the first movie is the way Randall's always seen Dante. That's how I interpreted it. And I don't know if that's how it was meant to be interpreted, but that's kind of the way I looked at it.
I didn't take it that way. I just took it as the whole time Randall's like, this is about my life. This is my movie about my life. Mm-hmm. I'm the star of this movie. And this was him rethinking things and going, you know what? Dante is the star. Yeah. I look up to you, and this is how I see you because you're actually the star. I think
it was kind of a combination of those things of like.
Could have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because didn't he call him, like he said, they made a Star Wars references to like who he felt Dante was in his story originally, which was a much lesser character. And then at the end, he told him that no, he was more the main character and everything.
Yeah. It was very sweet.
Yeah, I think that's what made me like that movie, especially better than Clerks 2. Clerks 2, in my opinion, didn't have to ever happen, other than that movie ended up leading to what Clerks 3 ended up becoming. So it's there as kind of a piece that brought everything to Clerks 3, but I felt like Clerks 3 was a much better way to kind of tie it and end it all together. And the way the movie ended, I felt like, okay, like that's a good way to kind of close it all out. And
yeah, I kind of wish that Brian Johnson had more in. He was just there playing hockey at the very beginning on the roof, and then he was at. I don't know if we want to give anything away, really, or not. I don't think. Are we worried about spoiling anything?
I mean, if people don't want to hear anything, skip ahead a couple minutes.
Yeah, just fast forward 40 seconds or something. 3, 2, 1. And he was just at Dante's funeral, standing in the back. That was all he had to do.
Yeah, but he wasn't, I mean, I don't know if that was just keeping the narrative or the fact that he wasn't really part of Clerks to begin with.
It could have been. Does he have any part in Clerks 2?
I don't recall if he's in it or not.
I think he probably is, but I don't know.
Have a small scene in it, but
I think I've only seen Clerks 2 less than a handful of times, maybe 3.
I think I've seen it the one time, and I don't recall too much from it.
I remember watching it within the last couple of years, just going well, let me revisit this and see if I like it any better.
Like, I don't hate it, but I think there's just a lot of stuff in it that is just like, all right, well, they went there, I guess. And it just that didn't need to be a thing.
Without remembering everything that happened in the movie, I will say one part that I thought was actually kind of funny and clever was the fact that RST Video is now a weed dispensary.
Right.
But Jay and Silent Bob work there. But they still come out and sell in front of the store like it's an illegal deal that they're doing. I thought, okay, it's like they can't shake the old habits of having to hide the transaction and be sly about it, but they're in front of a dispensary that they work at. I thought that was kind of funny.
But yeah, all in all, it's not a bad movie. It's got its it's got its cute moments, it's got its good moments, it's got its bad moments like any movie, but
yeah. I was kind of hoping there'd be since it was an Affleck cameo, I was hoping there'd be a Damon cameo too.
Yeah.
But you get what you get and you don't get upset. That's what what little kids learn.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, at least that's something that Leo learned at his old school.
You get what you get and you don't get upset.
Well,
what if what you get is upsetting?
Then
what if what you get is bad news?
Look, I don't think that I don't think they want you to think about it too much. I think they just want you to
classic liberal agenda.
Fox News.
Well, that's conservative agenda.
Yeah, and I thought it'd be funny to look up a random New Year's resolution generator.
Cool.
But it wasn't funny.
Oh.
What I discovered was it's not random at all. It's random in that
there's a set amount of them and then they just randomly give you one, like a Magic 8-Ball.
It's a set order.
Okay.
I went there, I clicked on one, and it was the first one was learn some new dance moves or hot dance moves or something.
Okay.
And you can accept that or reject it. You can say, my feet hurt, meaning no dance moves for me, or let's bust a move or something, meaning I'm down to learn some dance moves. Then you click the reject one to make it go to the next resolution, and I forget what it was, but I'm like, okay, well, maybe this could be fun. Then I just reloaded the page so it was fresh, so there was no previously loaded resolutions. You click on go, and it's learn some hot new dance moves is the first one. And then you click no, and the next one is the same one. It was the second one the first time. So
that's a bad
it's not
website.
Random. It's random in that, you'll not know what you're going to get if you never go there.
Right.
But, yeah. So that means
they're not expecting repeat customers.
Right. But if say, I was going to send you the link. I'll be like, okay, both of us on the count of 3. Let's, because I thought, what if we get some random resolution assigned to us and we have to try to adhere to it for as long as we can.
Okay.
Then if we both did it, we would just both get the same resolution because it would just both land on learn some hot new dance moves, which I'm not going to do that.
No, I don't intend to either. That would definitely never be a resolution for me. I'll create some.
To not learn? Oh, you're going to create some dance moves?
I'll create some dance moves before I will learn some.
Are you going to... Here's how are you going to do it? Are you going to create the dance move?
Oh, I mean, I'm not going to. I'm saying I would. If my option was to learn dance moves or create them, I would create them.
Sure. But let me ask you...
I choose to do neither.
Right. Let's say you were going to create dance moves.
Okay.
Are you someone who's going to create the move and then name the move? Or are you going to come up with dance move names and then create based on the name?
Boy, I'd probably have to try it out each way to see if which one worked out better for me.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I could see if you're trying to come up with a name first, I can see you trying to imagine what a dance move would be that you can name while trying to come, so
Yeah.
the name you come up with would be influenced by a potential move already. It's a flawed system.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've created some moves before, whether you want to call them dance moves or just weird movements, and then have named them afterwards.
Like what?
The bell ringer.
Oh, I remember. Bell ringer. Oh, the bell ringer. I'm glad I don't have to see that ever.
Would you like me to demonstrate it for you?
No, I know what it is.
Okay.
I don't need a demo. I'm just glad.
It's best done in the nude.
It's best served cold.
And I think that probably explains plenty of that move for most people.
Now,
and pretty much dudes are the best at it.
Wait, what are you saying? Sexist?
No, I'm just saying they're the best at it
why-
because they have, they don't have to use anything but their bodies. They don't have to add instruments into the move.
Is that why men deserve to earn more for the same job than women does?
It depends on the job. If the job requires you, or if the job is male model, for sure.
Are you saying a female can't be a male porn star?
I didn't say anything about porn stars at all.
Without added equipment?
I never brought up porn stars.
But are you saying that?
Am I saying that women don't make good male porn stars? Is that what I'm saying?
I don't know. Is that what you're saying? That's not what I said.
I mean,
I said
statistically, without having to go through a lot of extra effort. But if I'm honest, I'm not exactly sure what porn stars make, but I have a decent feeling that female porn stars might make a bit more than male porn stars, depending on the type of porn you do.
I think you're correct on that.
Yeah.
If you do like male on male gay porn, then women make next to nothing in that.
Well,
in that
actually, that's
area.
where in the porn world, that's where men make the most money. Actually, is doing gay porn. So there's a lot of straight male porn stars that do gay porn just because they can make more money doing it.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know who's watching heterosexual porn for the dudes.
Sometimes women.
Or maybe gay men.
Possibly.
Matt, have you ever heard of the term micronation?
I don't believe so.
At work, I stumbled across this, I just open up a browser and it usually brings you to some generic like news front page type of a thing. And there was a story about these certain stamps that are either collectible in the stamp collecting world, or there are people in the stamp collecting world that don't care for them at all and don't consider them legitimate stamps. And then there's some that are very intrigued to collect them. It's because they are stamps that are issued by these things called micronations, they're not recognized legally by any actual nation or government as a separate nation or whatever. So, but these are places that will be declared by the people that live there, and they'll come out with their own currency and they'll come out with their own stamps sometimes and their own their own things to try to become recognized as a separate nation.
Quaint.
Right. So I started kind of looking
adorable.
at...
They think they're people.
I know. They're all going to get probably arrested for tax evasion.
Anyways.
So I pulled up one that I thought was kind of interesting. It's called Nation of Celestial Space.
Okay.
The Nation of Celestial Space, also known as Celestia, is a micronation created by Evergreen Park, Illinois resident James Thomas Mangan. So you could be able, you could start canoodling with the Mangans and maybe possibly get in on this. This little venture here.
I love to canoodle.
Yeah,
I love anything that involves noodles.
That's because you were a wide berth. Celestia comprised the entirety of outer space, Mangan.
How's that a micronation?
Because it's not recognized.
Space is like the biggest thing next to the ocean.
Next to the ocean?
Not like directly next to it, but it's the biggest thing that we know of.
Right. But to say next to the ocean is to say that the ocean is bigger than outer space.
No. Well, okay. Sorry. Either way.
So, Celestia comprised the entirety of outer space, which Mangan laid claim to on behalf of humanity to ensure that no one country might establish a political presence there. The word that is in there, I don't know how to say. As founder and first representative, he registered this acquisition with the Recorder of Deeds and Titles of Cook County on January 1st, 1949. At its foundation, Celestia claimed to have 19 members, among them Mangan's daughter Ruth. A decade later, a booklet published by the group claimed that membership had grown to 19,057 people.
Okay.
Let's see. Mangan was active for many years in pursuing his claims on behalf of Celestia. In 1949, he notified the United States, the Soviet Union, United Kingdom, and United Nations that Celestia had banned all further atmospheric nuclear tests. Later, as the space race got underway, in earnest, he sent angry letters of protest to the leaders of the Soviet Union and the United States on the occasions that their early space flights encroached upon his territory.
Oh no! I'm sure they were very terrified.
I'm sure they
Were
immediately
shaking
put those,
in their boots.
Right. If paper shredders existed in the 60s, I would imagine that's where these letters went.
Scissors.
Scissors, right, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. The
If
original.
paper shredders
Actually,
existed.
hands, I think, are the original paper
Hands
shredders.
are, yeah. Although he later waived these proscriptions to allow for satellite launches.
Oh
by
yeah,
the
I'm
latter.
sure. I'm sure they asked him for permission.
Yeah.
Can we?
He's like,
is this allowed?
Let me
Can we
waive
do
this. Yeah. I'll forgive it this time. I need me some satellites. That's what he said.
Yeah.
While Mangan and Celestia were politely ignored by the superpowers, there is evidence that at least some others were prepared to entertain his claims with a greater degree of seriousness. The first unfurling of the Celestian flag, featuring a blue sharp symbol with a white disc against a blue field. It basically looks like a pound sign.
Okay.
It's a blue flag with a white circle, and inside of that white circle is like a blue hash mark or pound sign, however you want to call it.
All right.
Not very imaginative flag. The first unfurling of this flag was broadcast in June 1958. So this is 9 years after he.
Right.
So this has been going on for a while. To a television audience of millions across the U.S., and the following day the flag was raised at the United Nations building in New York City to fly alongside those of the members of the member nations that those of the member nations of that organization. Oh, that was hard to say.
Okay.
The next part, we'll get to the names of the family members, which I thought were the more interesting part here. But despite these efforts, the nation of celestial space is thought to have become defunct with the death of its founder. Its only surviving legacy is the series of stamps and silver and gold coins and passports issued in its name by Mangan from the late 1950s through to the mid 1960s. So,
I mean, I'm pretty sure it was defunct immediately after its creation.
I would be curious to get a hold of some of these silver and gold coins and stamps issued by the nation of celestial space. So here are, let me see, some of the coins minted by Celestia included a silver 1 jewel of 4.15 grams and a gold 1 celestin. So it's 4.15 grams of silver, and then the 1 celestin coin is 2.2 grams of 0.900 gold. Their scarcity ensures that they sell for many hundreds of dollars a piece on the rare occasions they come to market. So here are some of the family member names. So there's James Thomas Mangan.
Mm-hmm.
His descendants include his son, James C. Mangan. Where does it get to the good part? Okay. His daughter, Ruth Mangan Stump, princess of the nation of celestial space.
Oh.
And 3
Shit.
grandsons, Glenn Stump, Duke of Mars. Dean Stump, Duke of Dean Stump, Duke of Selenia, and first representative of the nation of celestial space, and Todd Stump, Duke of the Milky Way.
Oh, he gets the whole Milky Way?
The whole Milky Way. One guy just gets Mars.
That's so much pressure.
I know, and I'm not sure what Selenia is, if it's maybe a moon of another planet or something.
How disappointing would that be?
Yeah.
One kid gets Mars, one kid gets the entire Milky Way, this one gets some random fucking rock that floats around.
There are also 3 sons of Glenn Stump. There's Edward Stump, Duke of Sirius, Dan Stump, Duke of Polaris, and Luke Walter Stump, Duke of Alpha Centauri.
Oh, nice.
Which isn't Alpha Centauri the star that's closest to us?
I'm not exactly sure.
It might be that. But anyway.
Should have had Eric on.
I thought yeah, maybe. I thought
Eric's
the notion of someone.
The fucking, celestial space. Yeah, I know all about
this.
this.
It's this, yeah. And that particular
I've met
Alpha
the
Centauri.
family.
Yeah, they're good friends with my parents, and we go camping together. I'm sure he's like that. I just thought the idea of there's most micronations are like a tiny little area in a town or this and that. One of them was even like some metal like platform out in the ocean was some micronation. But this was just this was like, okay, they're claiming outer space. I get it so
that's
that
not what's micro about that.
Well, I get it. It's so that no other, like the U.S. can't claim any of this of space.
Yeah, like I get not like, I mean, yeah, I get not letting one nation within Earth being able to claim all of space for themselves, but it's like,
but this is just some guy and his family.
Weird. Yeah, so they claimed it. It's like, oh, just so nobody can claim it, we're gonna claim it. So it's like you did the exact thing you were trying to prevent somebody else from doing. Yeah, in a sense.
I get. Yeah, it's kind of like, well, if I don't want them to do it, I've got to beat them to the punch.
Right.
Kind of a thing. But we know it's going to get there. We know that we're going to get further and further out into space and certain.
Yeah.
Well, this happened in 1949, so before the moon landing. So I don't know if does the U.S.
before
claim the moon?
Before the space race even really happened, right? The only thing.
Yeah.
Like, when was the first satellite launch? I thought the first satellite launch into space was in the 50s, wasn't it?
Well, it was before the space race, because this does mention that when the space race happened, he wrote to U.S. and the Soviet Union.
You do it.
Stay out of my space.
And they're just like, who is this nut? Nobody's ever heard of this micronation.
So, what would you want to be if you were like a royalty? I guess these are like royal members, if they're called dukes of this and that, and princess. What I found was interesting, they didn't have a name for the founder. He didn't have like King of Space or, King of the Universe or anything like that. What would you want to have your name be? Would you want to have, say, Neptune or,
I have to choose a space, something of space?
Yeah,
related?
Or it could be like, what do they call that? The hand of, no. There's some images that the Hubble had taken where it's like they name this area a thing. I think like the hand of God is something, and
yeah, I don't feel like I know enough about space to come up with a witty answer.
Yeah. Just take Pluto.
Why Pluto?
I don't know, because it's not a planet anymore. It's what do they call it? A dwarf planet.
Right. I think they say because it's not like perfectly round and shit, but it's like no, none of the planets I think are perfectly round.
I think there's other reasons. I think what they did was they discovered that they're kind of out in that area. There are other bodies that are more closely resembled to what Pluto is than Pluto is to the rest of the planets. Right. So it's like, well, Pluto really belongs with this group of things and not as a planet of the solar system. So sorry, Pluto lovers. Yeah. Science has declared that it's no longer a planet. A long time ago. Not like this is recent. Have you heard of that Planet 9? Yeah. What do you think about that? You think that's out there? Or you think they're just...
Sure. I mean, there's... Who knows? There might be fucking Planet 10, 11, 12 out there that we just haven't been able to see yet. You know how many... Whoa. There's so many things. So many millions and millions of things that revolve around the sun.
You know what I can't get over? Whenever there's a movie or a show that involves beings from other parts of the universe, they all say something like, "Oh, I've been out searching for 30 years," or there's a span of time that they reference, and it's always like Earth's time. Yeah, it's like you just experienced Earth for the first time. So what do you consider a year? Right. So everyone just bases off of, Earth time.
Of Earth years. And most of them all speak English too.
They all do that. Yeah. But
even though there's more languages on Earth alone outside of English.
Oh yeah.
But all of space speaks English.
Well, and so many of them have like British accents and stuff like
Mhm.
that. It's
Yeah,
really
most of them
weird.
do.
So that just makes me think that the British population are from space.
Could be.
Yeah. Outer space.
Right. No. Yeah.
Which we are in outer space. Like I like when people are like, "Oh, I want to go to outer space." It's like you're there. Why is
Well, outer.
inside?
I mean, we're inner space right now.
Well, I thought inner space was going inside like the human body.
Maybe.
Isn't that what happens in that movie, Inner Space?
Yes, it is what happens in that movie, Inner Space.
So that's to me what inner
Starring
space is.
Dennis Quaid and Martin Short.
Martin Short's in that movie?
Yeah,
I haven't seen that in so long.
it's a fun movie. Check it out, people.
Yeah, watch Inner
Go check out
Space.
Inner Space. Maybe
circa-
Sean will watch it again and we'll talk about it.
Circa probably 1980 something.
7 or so, yeah.
1987.
I'd want to be known as the Siege of Uranus. Anyways,
Of course.
to answer your earlier question,
Yeah.
that's
Of
I
course.
mean, it's a stupid joke to make, but I couldn't think of anything better than to make a Uranus joke.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I was trying to think of. It took me a while to think of something that I could use to precede Uranus.
Yeah.
So I decided to go with Siege.
You landed on a good one.
Yeah, that was all right.
Add it to the calendar.
Oh, I mean, if we're going to end this thing on a joke, that was better than the way we started it. Not claiming I made a great joke by any means.
I don't know. Did you hear that inside jokes one? Should I read it again? Because maybe
No, I don't think we should do that to people.
the logger. Lumberjack. Get it? Logs like
Mm-hmm.
sections of a downed tree.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Bringing it all back around, talking about stumps. The Stump family.
Was that their name?
No, I don't remember. Was it?
Stump. Yep.
Was it? Hey,
Dean Stump.
bringing that
Edward
lumberjack
Stump.
joke all the way back around.
Way to go.
Started with lumberjacks, ending with stumps.
Look at me. Like, what a cohesive theme
Yeah.
for the episode I brought today. Amazing.
You say that you kind of tossed this all together as you went.
Sure. It might
Yeah.
seem that way if only by listening to it, it may seem that way.
Yeah.
Like the only way you might get that idea is if you listen to the episode.
Right.
Otherwise,
Who would do that?
Otherwise, you can tell. Zoom out, Matt. Zoom out. You'll see. It's a
Can't,
well-formulated-
because then I will be in the jurisdiction of the celestial space.
Not allowed.
I can't unless I get a strongly worded letter from James Thomas McGann. I won't be able to
Almost.
go out there. What?
Close. Mangan, I think.
Mangan,
Yeah,
sorry, McGann. Yeah,
Gosh, what a horrible memory.
it's right
I
in
wonder
front of me. I looked it up.
I wonder. I wonder if they have.
I still
I
read
wonder
it
if
wrong.
there's no way. There's no way aside from writing some angry letter. They can't enforce. They don't have the manpower to enforce some
they-
any kind of
Fuck
law
the
they might
manpower.
set.
Fuck any of the manpower. They literally probably don't have any legal documentation saying that they can make any sort of claim about that area.
And they're probably the only people on Earth that claim to own something that they've never been to
Yeah.
and could never go. There's no way these people are going to space.
Yeah. Especially not
They're-
at that time.
They're too poor. Yeah, there was no.
Yeah, it's like their money isn't even recognized by
Yeah, it's not
Any
even legal
government.
tender. Membership. This says
other
as
than
of
its
19
value of silver and gold.
Exactly. Well,
But
you know what?
But that's whose value? Whose are they? Because they exist within the United States as people. Does that mean that the value of their money is based off of the U.S. currency at the time?
I think it probably has to be. Well, you know what? I don't know. We're talking about a couple different things because their denominations are not even the same. The one silver coin is called a jewel, 1 jewel. So
Yeah.
is that supposed to be the equivalent of $1 or a quarter? We don't know.
Well,
Who
right.
knows
but
what
that's
these
I'm
are meant to
saying.
be?
That's why I'm saying the value of their currency is only based off of the value of what it's made out of. It's only
Exactly.
based off of the value of the silver and the gold it's created from. So therefore, is that value based on the US dollar or some other
Oh,
currency?
probably. It has to be. But
You'd
now,
think.
that was at the time of its production or
Right.
minting. I should
I'm
say.
sure it's only worth. It's probably worth a bit more than what its value is in those
metals.
based on the fact that it's, stamped into that currency, and that currency, the value of the rarity of that currency is worth more than what the metal is worth.
Yeah.
If you were to just melt it back down.
That's a good question as far as when the money was made, was one jewel worth, according to them, was it worth more or less than the materials used to make it? I don't know.
But I can't imagine where would they spend any of that money, because if it's just this weird little micronation that probably didn't really have any sort of
like occupiable
government
space,
or value or anything, where you can print your own money, but where are you spending that other than amongst yourselves?
That's the only way.
It's like, do you go to you're going to the U.S. market down the street to buy your goods with your U.S. currency, and then are you creating your own shop inside of your little area that now your other members of this community will come and buy from you using your nation's currency? Like, I don't understand what the point of them even having a currency is.
Well, so that's one thing that I did read up on some of these micronations is they, in order to try to gain some legitimacy, or maybe try to be, in an attempt to be recognized and have a little bit more credibility as a nation or whatever, is they would issue their own currencies and stamps and things like that, just to get that, a little bit more under their belt than just some guy saying, hey, I own my own country now, and it's over here in my backyard, I think it was just like an attempt to further legitimize the existence of it.
Right.
But as far as its ability to be used anywhere, it has to just be within its own members. But the weirder part, less weird to me than the currency, is the fact that it said that there were some passports issued. Who was going to be able to get on a plane and fly out of country using a passport issued by Celestia?
Well, and the other thing is, like, Celestia, or the nation of celestial space, as it were, also known as
both
Celestia.
things.
Yeah, you're right. It's the entirety of outer space. It's like you can't travel to or from there.
Exactly. You can't go visit Celestia. So,
I mean, a bunch of astronauts have done that now.
So it must have like an embassy in the U.S.
Maybe
in Illinois, in Evergreen Park, Illinois, and that's where you could go.
I should try to figure that out.
Well, unfortunately, a lot of these. So the founder is deceased. It looks like his son James Mangan is deceased. The daughter, which was the princess of the nation of celestial space, is deceased. So it looks like if you want to get into contact with anybody, it's going to be the grandsons,
and they probably just don't care,
or the sons of Glenn Stump. So Glenn Stump was one of the three great grandsons of James Thomas Mangan.
Okay,
if you wanted to try to get in on,
I'm sure they're just like, look, this is
becoming a member.
Dark part of our past that we just don't.
It's funny because it'd be
crazy if they like went and like tried to file some sort of lawsuit against NASA saying that they were illegally parking the space station in their territory and stuff.
They would have done it by now if they were ever going to, because that's been up there for a while.
It's been up there for a long time.
Yeah.
Or all the other stuff that they, all the other satellites and telescopes and things that are out there. So many hundreds of.
Yeah. I forget when Hubble went up, but they definitely waived their restrictions to allow the satellites to go up.
Right.
So I would imagine they would also then waive it for telescopes.
Right.
But I don't know about the space station business.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing up in my...
I wonder what the Duke of Mars thought, but I think he was already dead probably. But when they landed,
like the rover,
the rovers and stuff on Mars,
probably like, anything like, you find, I lay claim to anything you find. It's mine. Right. It's in space. It's mine. They probably wrote letters, to NASA.
Yeah. Put that, all that dirt that thing just picked up and put inside of itself. You need to put that back.
Yep. Here's my address. send it via next day air.
Send what?
You know, he wants them to bring it back.
That's
didn't
not
bring
coming
anything.
back. Nothing comes back. It's on Mars forever.
So I guess it's like
the rovers just do all the studies and everything there.
What
and send
about
back
The Martian?
information.
What about the movie The Martian?
That is a piece of fiction.
Right, but do you think he's like
Matt Damon
look,
didn't really go to Mars.
I know that, but it's a depiction of Mars. Do you think he's like, if you want to?
Oh, like he lays claims to any.
You need some royalties. Like, yeah, I need some royalties for you allowing you to make a mock-up of my Mars.
Maybe he probably he probably could, but no. I mean, he probably potentially might.
Yeah, just bizarre. There's
It's
some
very
there's
weird.
There's
I'm
a
sure
bunch
there's a
of
ton
these.
of other ones.
Yeah. I guess this all kind of started around aside from this one, but there was like this sort of boom of them in like the 70s. And there are a lot of them in Australia. I think Australia has more of these micronations than any other parts of the world.
It's because like 80% of Australia is like uninhabitable.
Well, one of them even, I remember it said that the guy started his little micronation because he didn't want to pay a bunch of taxes he owed to the Australian government. So he thought this was a way to get out of it. And
it's like the sovereign citizen crap that people do. Do you know much about that?
No, I'm sure it's just like
I need to read more up on it to sound at all remotely like educated about it, to talk about it. But people claim that they are sovereign citizens, which means that they don't have to abide by any of the laws and rules of whatever country they're in. Sure. Even though they live there, they are sovereign citizens. So therefore, you know, I don't have to have a license because I don't recognize blah, blah, blah. And then the biggest thing is like, they'll be like, is your name, you know, James Smith? And they'd be like, my person's name is James Smith, but I am me. Like,
okay,
I also go by the name of James, but I am not. It's just it's this whole thing. It's just
you lost
I see a lot of videos about it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
like they'll just try to claim some of the dumbest stuff to try. Like I see a lot of them getting people. It's a lot of like court stuff where they're constantly going in and trying to fight things that they shouldn't have to pay or do because they're sovereign citizens, so therefore the U.S. government laws don't have jurisdiction over them and all this stuff. And they're just like, no, well, it's like the same shit of like, if I travel to a different country, just because I'm not part of that country doesn't mean I don't have to abide by their laws when I'm there. So even if you're considering yourself a sovereign citizen of the United States, but you are in the United States, you still have to abide by the laws of the United States. So you still have to have a license, whether or not it's issued to you from the United States.
Maybe
you still have to have a legal license that allows you to drive.
Maybe they only need to abide by shared laws between, like, let's say you're a U.S. citizen, but you're visiting France.
Yep.
Both countries, I'm pretty sure it's illegal to murder somebody or rob somebody, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's everywhere.
Let's say you have a law that is in the U.S., but is not a law in France.
Okay.
I guess that would be okay. That's nothing special.
Yeah, I don't know where you're going with this.
I don't know where I'm going with this either. I was thinking of more extreme things.
You're saying you must only have to abide by laws that are universal laws throughout the entire world.
Yeah, but that is just how it works, I guess. Like if you go to France and it's legal to do, like, the drinking age is younger probably in France, right? So you could go to France and drink before you're 21 legally. So I guess, never mind.
Yeah, it's like Canada.
I'm like,
Canada
maybe it
is
should
like
work
18 or whatever.
I'm like, what if it works the way that the world works, Matt?
Yeah, I know, right? That would
what
be
if
weird.
Wouldn't that be crazy? You only had to follow the laws that are in place. Well, a bit of my stupidity has been revealed. I did catch it though. I did catch it myself. Yeah. Like, it would have been worse if you pointed it out. You're like, yeah, that's how it is. Moron.
I was just the whole time. I was just like, he can't. Like, that's why I was like, wait, is this what you mean? Because where are you going with this?
I guess my mind.
I wanted to assume that you were going somewhere with it.
Well, I was kind of hoping I was going to be able to think of a more extreme thing to do, but like let's say murdering somebody. There's nowhere that is legal, so it's not like
right.
So there, I couldn't use that as so then I just boil it down to some very mild things that you probably wouldn't really get in major trouble for if you did it in the U.S. anyway.
Right.
Plenty of people have been caught drinking underage. I don't think there's a huge consequence for it.
No.
So, yep. Well, I think I would like to see you next Tuesday.
Okay.
Are you free? Are you free next Tuesday?
So not this coming one.
Why not?
The following one? No, I'm asking you.
Oh, I see.
Not this coming Tuesday, the following Tuesday? The next Tuesday? Or are you looking for
that
the
would
next
be
Tuesday or next Tuesday?
That would be the one following the one that's coming.
Okay.
The one that this episode posts on or drops. Yeah,
So
I don't want to see you then.
Right.
Yeah, the following Tuesday.
I should, I'll make sure I'm free.
Yeah. Actually, we both work. We're both busy.
Yeah, that's true.
In real
Shit.
life. We Tuesdays.
Yeah, Tuesdays aren't good for me.
Not to pull back the curtain, everyone, but
we
don't
real
record
jobs.
these. We don't record these on Tuesdays, and also we have real jobs. So when we're not recording these, it's not like we're just sitting around never doing anything.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when we record these, that's exactly what we're doing.
We're doing this when we record them, but that's not to say that on Tuesday when you listen to a new episode, that means that we're free that day.
No.
Like
when the episode drops, I'm pretty sure we're both sleeping.
Sometimes I'm awake.
That's because you're crazy.
You've probably been awake when an episode dropped, I'm sure.
Yeah, a couple of times.
Or you've woken up you wake up at like 2 a.m. You're like,
I gotta check
episode.
how many downloads I got. Episode's been up for an hour.
I still don't know. I had it the other night where I fell asleep like right away, almost getting home, and then my son called me at 9 something, and I was like, "Why aren't you at school yet?" Thinking it was 9 a.m, but he woke me up at 9 at night to say goodnight, and I didn't think. I thought about that, but I didn't think about the fact that I wasn't at work
right
at 9 a.m. So
dude,
like,
I always hate that feeling when you like accidentally take a nap or something, and then you wake up and you just super disoriented of what time of the, is it AM or PM, especially in the wintertime when it's dark at 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. Then you're just like, ugh.
That's the flaw of our system of measuring time. Every AM has a PM.
That's the flaw.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to be that way if everybody switches to military time.
But then the military wouldn't feel special.
Oh, darn. I'm pretty sure no matter what we do, the military will always feel special.
If we switch to military time, I would hope that would stop people from saying dumb things like it was 3 a.m. in the morning.
I hate that.
But it probably wouldn't.
I hate that. No.
It wouldn't. They wouldn't stop them at all. They would just say
no, because it would still be 3 a.m. in the morning.
It was hour 20. It was 2100 hours at night. They would probably say.
Yeah, it was 300 hours in the morning.
Yeah, yeah.
Because then it would be like, it would be completely redundant to say it was 3 in the morning. You'd be like, it was 3, and everybody would be like, yeah, that was early morning hours.
Oh wow, that's early. What were you doing up at 3? People are normally asleep at 3.
Yeah, unless they work the graveyard shift.
Correct. Which I don't get that term really. Is it that people that would dig graves did it at night?
Probably.
So there was never any like procession going on during the digging?
Probably. Sounds like a different episode of looking up common phrases and figuring out their origins. We've talked about doing so many times.
Boy, that sure sounds like an episode to do.
Yeah.
Boy,
geez,
oh boy.
I can't imagine we've mentioned possibly doing that episode at least 5 or 6 times on other episodes.
We keep knocking the idea of actually doing that because it doesn't seem, once we start digging into it, it doesn't, what we find or what we have found so far
is far less interesting than we assume.
Far less interesting than we assume. But here I am talking about the nation of celestial space and reading dad jokes out of a daily calendar. So,
yeah, we're not exactly content creators here.
Is there I don't think the bar is so high that
that
it's
an part of the nation of Celestia.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you talk about the universe, like what is high and low? There is no real high and low or up and down.
But if you're talking about Earth, there is.
Sure, just in relation to its own coordinates within it.
Which is how we perceive life.
Right, but you mentioned being
If
very
it's
high.
If it's so high that it's into Celestia, that means it's high from our perspective. Because it's how many miles up, and it's to the point where it's into the stratosphere or whatever the fuck.
Sure, yeah, that's true.
It's part of space. At that point, it's high from our perspective. Until you get to space, then it doesn't really have any significant high or low at that point.
Yeah.
And how hard is it to find a bar in space?
Like,
depends on how big the bar is.
Like a pub type of a bar?
No, like whatever. How high?
Like a rod?
How high the bar is? Yeah.
Wait a minute. Are you talking about like a metal bar?
Yeah.
Or a metaphorical bar, like
just a piece of metal bar. It'd be very difficult to find in space.
I'm sure any of those satellites and the space stations have they're littered with bars. You know what? Here's how we can look at it.
Mm-hmm.
For us on Earth, very, very easy. You don't got to travel very far at all up into space to find a bar. Anywhere else in the universe, good luck.
Maybe
all those alien races that
they don't use bars.
They don't use bars for any of their construction.
Right.
So yeah, good luck. You got to travel light years to find a bar. We just have to go a couple miles, Earth miles.
Right.
I want some aliens to come to Earth and then try to buy things with these coins issued from the nation of celestial space.
Like, that's where most of the coins have gone over the years.
They've been acquired by beings from other worlds.
Right. Yeah, I wonder where they would have stood on the grounds of like another alien race coming to Earth, because apparently all of any alien race out there would be a part of the nation of celestial space.
They would be part of the membership.
Yeah.
Count.
So they had how many millions or billions of members they didn't even know about.
Right.
They're only counting the 19,000 something Earthlings that were part of the nation.
That's truly why space is the final frontier.
Yeah. Is it?
Well, I guess we don't know.
Right.
We could conquer all of space and then find out that there's more beyond space.
I don't know if that's true. And again, I don't know much. But I know I love you.
I no longer want to see you next Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye.
If you have a question, complaint, or threat for Sean or Matt, you can reach us on TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at hsfamouspod, or you can email the show at highschoolfamous@gmail.com. No animals were pleasured during the making of this podcast, despite our best efforts. All hail our Lord and Savior.